books.
Thanks. Tell me about your store.
Well, this is part of the old Carson City, the so-called Sweeney Building. This building is built in 1864, finished a few months prior to statehood. It's in the historic district. This is building that started out as the Wells Fargo livery, not the bank, but we had like a Pony Express stop. Horse people would get store things here and get change their horses out, and it also upstairs was the first apartment for the governor of Nevada, whose name I don't recall, but the first governor.
Okay.
You can see behind you the pictures of the shop and its various stages of life, and the oldest one is that little daguerreotype with the volunteer fire department in front of it. You can see there's nothing around it, so this building has some claim to be the oldest two-story, freestanding commercial building in Carson City. It's been, this iteration, I've had the store open for 2 years now. Before that it was an antique store, and before that was a law office. And it's been almost everything you can imagine, I think, since 1864. I imagine every human act known to man has been performed here. This tin ceiling is facsimile from the 70s. Everything here has been remodeled. The only true original architecture left is in the upper attic, where you can find these massive 14 by 14 beams that must have been hauled down from Lake Tahoe. I left that little piece of the wallpaper, which used to be all through the lower story, but after a while it hurts your eyes to look at it. So I left that one little piece so people could see what it looked like, and put in this sort of faux brown, which is easier on the eyes. This is a small shop, about 15,000 books currently on the shelves, meant to be run by one person, although it can be run by 2 people on busy days. The sign out says it's a unique bookstore, and people ask me what makes it unique. I say it's unique because I carry what I want, but that also means I have to, I specialize in Carson history, Sierra Nevada, Gold Rush, Comstock, Western Americana, in addition to literature high points. But I can't. This can't be Barnes and Noble, which will typically house 150,000 books. This is 1/10 the size. So I carry, the subset that I think I can make a living out of and what amuses me.
Right. What's in this case here?
Well, this is sort of some of the high-end items. Usually of some interest, like there's that first of Clan the Cave Bear. That's the one that put Gene all on a map. It is a signed copy. It's there's a certain magic in having a book that the author had in their hands, especially because she wasn't well known, and that's makes it more interesting because you got her. If you had her sign the book, then she was an up and comer.
Exactly. Wow.
The book next to that is the high-end book in the store. That is a first edition, first printing of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. And it's been professionally restored, but this is sort of a Twain locale. Orion Clemens once had an office in this building, and so it's probable that Mark Twain has been in this building, although I don't know it. Why mess up a good story with the truth? So I have a whole shelf for Twain items, but this is that's the high end in the store.
Wow.
I prefer not to have it walk away, but you also want to display it nicely. I am in the business to sell books. This is not a museum. My working motto is keep the stock moving. Here's another interesting item. This is about the Donner Party, and this is a signed copy. Again, it's always interesting when the author has signed a book because you have a little piece of history in your hand. A guy named McClacken. Don't know it's still widely read. There's a Steinbeck first edition, very reasonable for the starting Steinbeck collector, but I have lots of reading copies. I mean, not everyone in Carson City wants to spend big money on a collectible copy, so I have reading copies. And people still read Cannery Row, Grapes of Wrath, and so on. I read it too when I was a kid. So let's look at the rest of the store. Well, this is the main room where most of the Western Americana books are located. Again, what I carry most is Nevada Anna and Gold Rush, Comstock, Lake Tahoe, the Sierras, Reno history, Carson history,
Okay.
and we have this categories. We have railroads, although there's Nevada, and this is what most reliably sells. I mean, in a material world, you can't carry everything that amuses you. You actually have to sell a few books.
Right.
More Western Americana here. Again, notice the ceilings above us. That is facsimile. You can see the real thing in Virginia City or Bodie, but that was all the rage at one time. The best stuff, you can't see it here. It's off camera. Is under glass to keep it out of the sun.
Okay.
Nevada is blessed with low humidity, so we don't have to worry too much about humidity damage.
Okay.
Yeah. Sadly, a lot of these bookcases I got from Borders when they went out of business. That ladder up there that's now a decoration. I originally had a Harry Potter vision of being able to swing that baby across the floor, but as I said, liability is too much. I said, if someone breaks a leg, you're going to lose the shop. So
Yeah.
I put it up as a decoration. People are amused by it. At your feet is Holly, who's poor girl's got a cough. But people come to the shop to see her, not me or the books.
Right.
Behind you is this is a book press. It's a working tool for every bookbinder, every book sale, book person. I actually use it to straighten out spines. Weighs about 50 pounds.
Wow.
If you can grab it and load it, you can have it. Because I'm not going to chase you.
And what's this case here?
This is a map case, although I store any kind of paper that might amuse you. It is antique. When I first bought it, I found a black widow's nest at the bottom, so you're always a little careful.
Yeah.
But this is something people browse. I mean, we have a Marilyn Monroe connection here.
Yeah.
Lots of Marilyn Monroe books. My wife was a big fan. Of course, they shot The Misfits here in Nevada, so
Okay.
it remains an enduring theme for.
Sure.
But it's not a sale item. It just looks nice.
Yeah, it does.
Same with the marble table and a lot of the other things here are just for decoration. People ask if I'll sell them. I say no, it's part of the decor of the shop.
Right.
Of course, if anyone offered you enough money, you'd say, well, okay. I guess I'll make
Yeah.
an exception.
Sure.
Behind you, we can walk this way. This is the dollar rack. Everything on the cart is $1, and not everyone wants to spend for fancy collectibles.
Sure.
And you want to encourage kids especially to read. So I have anything I can't sell after a while goes on the dollar rack.
Okay.
I'd rather have it get again. My philosophy is keep the stock moving.
Yeah.
This is a working bookstore, not a museum, and there's few of us enough left.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's on a budget too. So
Yeah.
That's what you seek out a lot of
Yeah,
times.
yeah, and that's exactly right. As a kid, that's what I did.
Yeah.
As an adult, maybe if you have a hobby of collecting books, that's great. Some people actually do collect for investment, but
Sure.
but most people who come in just want a Stephen King book to take to the beach with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Classic and for
Yeah.
vacation for sure.
Yeah, the chairs here, that's a hunter's chair, which is a nice comfortable seat. And this they call it a slipper chair. This was all the rage in the 17th century. It looks like it's for kids, but adults used to sit on.
Oh, wow.
I guess we were smaller people back then. Again, we have this. This is not original decor. It sort of has that woody feeling to it. Yeah. This is the second book room. This is more traditional bookstore-ish, you might say. We have history, fiction, biography, science fiction, fantasy, business, economics, war, vintage literature, self-help, philosophy, religion, and this swivel carousel, another item that we got from Borders when they went out of business. Anything I can't find a place for goes here, and the prices are across the map. But generally, anyone from out of town, is looking for something unusual, comes here. Here, for example, this is Che Guevara's manual on guerrilla warfare. You know, maybe I shouldn't even have this out, just keep the kids from getting their hands on it. But I don't do too much censorship. You know, and so, there's probably maybe 1,000, 1,500 books in here.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, I carry what amuses me, but I try also to reflect the area, what people want to buy. Yeah.
With the history.
Yeah, the history, and especially, I mean, we are a military, you know, a lot of ex-military, retired military here, so that always goes well. But I have, you know, as time has gone on, I have a regular customer base that comes by every month or two to see what's new. So that's the other reason, keep the stock moving. If I doesn't sell in 6 months, I move it on out.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a little artwork. You see that fake Picasso behind me?
I saw that,
Yeah. Just love to unload it on someone. I thought it would, you know, it would do well, but it's just too darn big. Yeah. This chandelier here, you see, this came with the shop. But it's replica vintage. I mean, this is what they had, maybe even with real candles, a century and a half ago. And again, you notice the tin ceiling, that is a facsimile from the 70s.
Okay.
A lot of this kind of touches throughout the store, stained glass and paneling and the roofing, all as it was in the 19th century. I mean, in the 1970s, someone put a lot of money into the place to try and make it replica.
Right.
Yeah.
It has quite a charm, though. Makes it comfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the location here is awesome. This is the heart of the old Carson City Historic District. So they tell you in restaurant business, location, 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 true for any retail. And you know, we depend on both tourist and local trade, but this is the heart of old Carson City.
Oh yeah. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
A wonderful collection of books, really. The variety is just perfect.
Well, I've been collecting these since the 1980s. And my wife and I used to vacation across the country looking for books. We'd go into some small town, you know, go into a Motel 6, get the phone book. This is, you know, pre-cell phone days. Tear out the list of bookstores, and just spend the next day going through them all. And we, in pre-internet days, we would ship home by the box. We came to Nevada with 11,000 books.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course, once people know you're buying books, they come out of the woodwork. Pretty soon, nowadays, I turn most books away. You know, my rule now is if I can't sell it, I don't buy it.
Oh, okay.
But I have a whole room full of mistakes. You know, books I should not have bought. Or you know, that was our passion. You know, the dream was always to have a shop. Of course, the internet has turned the world upside down in all collectible fields. You know, it's leveled the playing field for buyers and sellers. You know, in the old days, we just acquire knowledge the hard way. Now you can do 1 or 2 searches on Google and get the same information that you had to spend years to acquire before, which is good and bad.
Right.
But you have to but you know, the natural laws have changed, so you have to evolve with them.
Sure.
You know, some of the old-time booksellers have never really embraced the internet, and those are dying out. I mean, you know, whatever's left of antiquarian bookstores has sort of had to adopt the new technology, and a good portion of that business is now online.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But again, you know, people still want to handle the books, and
Yeah, nothing beats, you know, holding it in your hand and really reading.
yeah. And some books will never go electronic media. Some of these art books, you know, like the Remington, you're not going to get that kind of artwork.
Sure.
In a handheld tablet. You want to see, you know, the gorgeous paper and smell the ink and handle. You know, some of the finer print books are art objects in their own right. You know, they're not just books, but they're little works of art.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you just don't get that on a Kindle.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No.
And that's not to just. I think the Kindle has its place. Anything that gets people to read is a good thing.
I agree.
Yeah. So, you know, I use a Kindle on vacation to hold all my tour books. That means you just keep it in your one item in your back pocket. You don't have to have a backpack full of tour books.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And do you have a online website then?
Yes, I do. I will give you a business card before you leave, www.morleysbooks.com. And it's pretty informational, but I do have items for sale, but mostly it's just to say, hey, I'm here.
Right.
You know, I generally found it easier to farm out my commerce to other sites. And I just direct people to those
Oh,
locations.
okay.
eBay and ABE Books
Okay, yeah.
is where, and they do charge you for it, but it's sort of trading time for money. And that's
Okay.
part of the online world, is that you can do it yourself if you have the time, or you can give someone a small percentage and use their listing service.
Right, kind of be a link to their site.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah.
And
sounds good.
if you have 1,000 small booksellers like me, all putting our books for sale online in the same location, now you have a data center. You can see, what what books are for sale, what prices are going, what are the first edition points. Again, it's that part of the leveling of the playing field I was telling you about. Everyone can go to these sites and gather the same data from one location rather than having to go from shop to shop to shop.
Yeah, it's online shopping.
Yeah, and that's
The way-
becoming the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the kids' room, although other books are here as well. We have the old classics like Charlotte's Web and Nancy Drew and Horatio Alger and a few others. But there's also hobbies, animals, cats and dogs, how-to. Anything that wouldn't fit in the other rooms. You will notice the low ceiling. We put this drape to sort of hide how in fact that's so much lower than the rest of the ceilings in the building. The reason why is there is a room in the middle of the building. It's not a second story. It's sort of stuck between these two stories.
Oh.
And we found the entrance. It's almost like Winchester Mystery House. The romantic part of me thinks maybe it was a speakeasy during Prohibition times,
Yeah.
because you can stand up in there, you can put planking in and build a
Oh.
room out of it, but it's not easily accessible. There's also a true basement that we didn't even know was here until we started moving bookcases aside. So it's sort of it sort of brings out the boy in me to say, I think I have hidden passages and stairways to
Yeah.
nowhere and so on. Again, the best stuff's in the glass case.
Okay.
My designer originally had that tilted. It said it gives it a little more dynamic activity, and I said, posh. And I pushed it against the wall, but now I think she's right. It actually would activate a little if I brought it out, but more space efficient this way.
Yeah.
This is the sort of thing I read as a kid, Tom Swift and his Cosmotron Express.
Okay.
Thought it was, kids don't seem to read as much nowadays, but I still have it just for myself, if no one else.
Yeah. The Hardy Boys.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is very nice for presenting books. I find that that I can put a book on how to sell ice cubes to an Eskimo, and if it's on an end cap, it sells. Just anything on an end cap, anything that's well displayed
Yeah.
sells. That's what I'm learning about this business. Is it's not how much it's how much is only a small part of it. Display and promotion is everything. A retail mentality that I had to develop. This is the last public room in the Sweeney building. It is a bar. You can see it dominated by Kat Val, who actually runs the place. The rest of us are staff. We'll let that go. This bar area is 21 feet, and it came from the Bar of America in Truckee, if you are familiar. It is turn of the last century. It's like 1900, 1910. The stained glass is from some local artisan, I don't know who, and the cabinetry, the ornate woodwork is from someplace back east. And the mirror glass is from Home Depot. However, I don't really use this as a book display room, though you will notice a few books here and there. On Wine Walk, which is the first Saturday of every month, I hire a bartender, and we open this room up to the public. Being Nevada, they have to walk all the way through the book section so I can sell them something before they get to have their free wine.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll have either a musician here or maybe one of the local writers or poets, we have one in the house right now, read their material here. And I tell the bartender, don't put them on the floor, but this tends to be a place where people hang out.
Yeah, it's comfortable. Yeah, nice atmosphere.
And so you know, it's lovely to have. It's a bit of a white elephant for a bookstore, but very handy for wine walk days and other celebratory occasions. You know, it's so pretty. I wouldn't dream of not having it. You know, one more. I mentioned the Winchester mystery mystery aspect. That door, which may not be visible to our cameraman, goes nowhere. Again, we moved the bookcase, and there it was. It goes to a crawl space that goes under the building, and if a cat ever got back there, I'd never get him out. But I have a feeling, again, it's the boy in me loves the mystery aspect of it.
Yeah, it's a really neat building.
Yeah. And again, now we have the high ceilings again. You know, that room in the middle of the floors I was telling you about starts right there at the corner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that's it. You know, this is the Sweeney Building, you know, from the public viewpoint. You know. I'm glad you stopped by today on your visit to Carson.
Well, thank you for sharing about the building. It's really interesting and just great books too. Thanks.
You're welcome. Another activity that I promote here at the bookshop is to have local authors either read their material or sign books or both. And I have one in the shop today who has appeared here before to read and sign books. Luke.
And hey, welcome back. Great store that Mike's got here. My book is on display here and on sale here.